Hello once again, Mustang basketball fans, and welcome to another edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm Kelly Loft, your host, as we take a look at Mustang men's basketball for another week as the Mustangs begin conference season this past weekend in South Dakota and in Nebraska, and then finally return home to start the conference season, the conference home season this weekend versus St. Cloud State and Concordia St. Paul. We'll take a look at the highlights from this past weekend and preview this upcoming week's games with the head coach, Brad Bigler, and he joins us again here on the show. And Coach, conference season finally got underway last weekend. The Mustangs playing at nationally ranked Augustana and then at Wayne State College. And you knew it would be a very tough weekend playing a very good Augustana team that was the preseason pick to win the conference, and then go to Wayne State, a team that the Mustangs have really not had great success playing in Nebraska. Just 3 all-time wins coming into the weekend. And you get a split. Mustangs lose to Augustana 83-66, but come back and cruise to a 73-54 win over Wayne State. Your thoughts, Coach, on this opening weekend of play?
I liked our guys' energy. I thought they defended on the basketball at a pretty high level all weekend, even at Augustana. I think there's times where you can have good defense and they just make shots. And I believe that Augustana did make shots, and I got to give them the credit. I thought their role players stepped up and made a big difference. I thought Cam knocked down shots, contested shots, and sometimes the offense is just going to get the better of the defense. And I thought that was the case on Friday night. Going into the Wayne State game, I thought the biggest thing was to have a short memory and to forget about Friday night's game to some degree and come out ready with that same type of intensity versus Wayne State. And I thought our guys did that. Well,
again, against Augustana, Mustangs lose 83-66. The Vikings shoot 53% in the game, and they make 9 three-pointers and really played at a high level all 40 minutes of that basketball game. Mustangs were led by Jordan Miller, 12 points, 11 points each for Bernard Birch and Matt Zager. And as you mentioned, the Mustangs come back the next night, go down to Wayne, Nebraska, and beat the Wildcats by a score of 73-54. Mustangs led for basically the entire ball game, led by 17 and a half. Mustangs shoot 48%, but 58% in the first half. And more impressively, Coach, I think, is the defensive effort you guys put forth. And you just talked about the energy that the Mustangs brought all weekend. But you look at the big number in the first half for Wayne State, 25% shooting, and they scored just 23 points.
And with the Wayne State matchup, anytime we have Bernard Birch on their best player for the majority of the game, or Tremel Barnes for that matter, I think we feel pretty confident with those two guys being able to defend at a pretty high level. And I thought they did a great job on Saturday night.
We'll go back to the Friday night game, Coach, and as I talked about Augustana, preseason number 1, they're ranked 18th nationally, and they're a team that if they play at a high level like they did, having those big 3 guns that they have, upperclassmen, they're tough to beat regardless of who's playing them and maybe even how good you guys are as well. You started out very strong, first 10 minutes, held a 1-point lead, and just to get those stretches where you couldn't score, and as you mentioned, you stopped some of their big guns, and Schilling was held in check, but when they have so many weapons, they're a tough team to defeat.
And they're a deep team too. They have a lot of guys coming off the bench who are capable of doing positive things for them. And I thought all those guys, all those role guys, stepped up and played to their role at a pretty high level. And that's what they need to do to have a championship-type caliber season.
Well, looking at the weekend stat-wise, a couple of players really stand out, Coach, for the Mustangs. And one of them, William Giddings, who went in the starting lineup the weekend prior when Casey Susanguth got hurt, and Casey missed last weekend with the injury. And William came in this weekend and started Friday night, 9 points, 7 rebounds. On Saturday, career high, 12 points, 4 more rebounds. And that's the exact kind of line you need, stat line, for William Giddings to have your team be successful.
And it was nice to see him just step into that role. He played with a lot more confidence this weekend, and you saw that on the offensive end. He's a guy who can score the basketball. It's just a matter of figuring out when he should take that shot or when he should make the easy play. But I thought he played very well, actually rebounded the ball better as well. So we're excited about that, and we also thought Lavion West coming off the bench gave us a spark and had quality minutes as well.
You just look at a couple of those players there that just tells you how important it is to have depth. And coming off the bench, having Lavion West giving those quality minutes, Michael Apple, Trent Carlson, Tremel Barnes, all those guys are very key in Saturday night's game. And Trent hit some big shots in the first half that extended that lead, and Tramel Barnes another double-figure scoring game. And
we talk about that a lot. We only have 12 guys on the active roster, and 10 of those guys, when they're all healthy, are going to be playing. And that's where every night every guy has to be ready to go. And with the way we do our rotations, with short rotations, especially early in halves, guys have to be ready.
And, of course, big number on Friday night's game. Not only did Augustana shoot very well, but the second chance points were right there for Augustana. They outscored the Mustangs 18-2 in second chance points. You were outscored in that category on Saturday as well. But, as we mentioned, that's sometimes a stat that can be misleading. Obviously, it's a rebounding statistic. But, how do you limit those opportunities? Because, those are kind of those deflating numbers, as you talked about. Not only do you might get the stop every once in a while, but it's just the fact that the other team gets an offensive board or keeps a possession alive.
Yeah, and I mean that's where Augustana's role players, their big guys stepped in and made plays. I think, especially off those free throws in the first half. I thought that was the big difference in the first half, is where they get those 2 offensive rebounds off free throws. One of them, Lavion West called for a travel. You can maybe look at that a couple different ways with a guy on him, but they take advantage of it, though, and they step up and they knock down those threes. That's 2 5-point possessions that they get, and when you walk into halftime down by 10, those are pretty big possessions. In the second half, I think later on in the game when we're pressing, we put a couple lineups out there where there's a smaller lineup trying to make some plays. They take advantage of it on offensive rebounds. You never know how that's going to change or be affected if the lineups were different, but it was their night, and you just got to give them credit.
Well, Bernard Birch played pretty well over the weekend as well. On shooting-wise, Friday, 5 of 8 from the field for 11 points, had 8 assists. Didn't shoot particularly well against Wayne State, but had 6 more assists. You'll take 7 assists per game on average for your point guard any time.
And that's where, as you'll see with their offense, he's becoming more confident. Our whole team is being more confident as far as just knowing how to play off it. And we'll see growth even more here this week, as we have 3 games this week. We're getting pretty confident with it.
Well, you're watching Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler here on Studio One and at smsumustangs.com. Thanks for joining us this week. Again, the Mustangs coming off a split last weekend to begin conference play. SMSU 2-3 overall and 1-1 in the conference. The Mustangs will now open a 4-game homestand this weekend as they take on St. Cloud State Friday night at 8 o'clock and then host Concordia St. Paul at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. And the following weekend before the Christmas break, the Mustangs will play Winona State and Upper Iowa at home. So a nice 4-game homestand, Coach, coming up for your squad. And that's got to be nice. We do have a game Tuesday night tonight against South Dakota State. By the time this airs, the game will be done, so we won't really talk about that much. But following tonight's game, you get to come home, and I know the guys are excited, I'm sure, for that as well. But as we've always said, that doesn't guarantee success. I'm sure that's something you're going to stress to your team because they still got to bring it this weekend.
And they're excited. It's nice to be back at home in front of the home crowd. But at the same time, sometimes when you play at home, there's more distractions. And we have to have that balance and understanding where we can overcome that. The support will be there, and we know the fans will be out, and it'll be a fun weekend.
Yeah, it should be fun, and we'll talk more about that weekend here shortly. But we're going to take a look at the highlights from this past weekend's games against Augustana and Wayne State College. We'll first start off with the ball game against Augustana this past Friday. Mustangs here starting with the basketball in this first half. And again, you played at a high level. Jordan Miller with a great basket to start the game, some excitement, and you really got a lot of action to the rim.
And you see Will Giddings on the back door right here. On that previous play. Then they defended differently, and he steps out and knocks a 3. So that's where you see Will Giddings being able to be that offensive threat that we need at that spot.
You see Bernard Birch, again, 5 of 8 from the field, hits that jumper. And the Mustangs playing very well in this first half. First 10 minutes had a 1-point lead. And coming off the left elbow, there's Lavion West with a jumper, and then Matt Zager with back-to-back hoops.
And again, just a lot of action to the rim. Guys seeing that open lane, catching and ripping through. Great finish by Matt Zager right here.
And he's really added that to his game this year. Jordan Miller going baseline, and good ball rotation by the Mustangs, and a 3 put up by Bernard. And boy, what a great example of him being able to keep things alive. Here's some examples here of missed opportunities.
And that was a play right there where Will Giddings goes back door. Augustana gets a tip on a ball, and that's where those are the plays that we need to get better at and more consistent at.
And you see the drive and the foul that Tramel Barnes created. Lavion West, good pass from Bernard Birch with the basket, and Bernard again with the basket here in the right wing. Just wide open and just a high floater off the backboard. Nice job by him. And then you go William Giddings on the defensive end.
And a couple good plays by Will Giddings, just being able to be active on Cody and to make him work for everything. You have Jordan Miller knocking down a three, and we'll come back to another good possession of Will Giddings just getting up and contesting his shot, using his athleticism.
Yeah, it doesn't show up in the stats, but that definitely redirected that shot. And the Mustangs finding a wide open basket there in the middle of the paint. SMSU again trailed at halftime, 45-33 to the Vikings. We now move on to the second half, and Mustangs early on get an and one here for Matt Zager. Got the Mustangs 9-point deficit, but the Vikings had an answer for every Mustang run. Here's a good post move up and under for the Mustangs. Giddings.
And here's Jordan Miller coming off the screen. Cody's a little tight, catches his leg, and maybe a little acting, but got the call.
Another assist for Bernard Birch. And here's Miller getting a screen, driving down the lane, and a beautiful up and under move. And then much needed threes here by coming up by
Michael.
Mustang. Yeah, Apple with the three, and then Trent Carlson with a couple of long range.
And again, that's a situation where the guys identified that they're protecting the paint, drive and kick situation, draw two, and hit the open player.
Boy, just a quick release for Trent, and very big key for the Mustangs to win with him making some shots, and then a couple of baskets. Here's one for Zager, and then a miss, and Augie comes the other way.
And this is off this miss. This is one where we have the momentum a little bit. Open three, we miss it. They come down, and this is where I thought Dre hurt us in transition. I didn't think Dre Murray hurt us a whole lot in the half court. It was more in transition, and that was an example of him in transition.
It's about a 5-point swing. Bernard Birch with a basket. Here's Zager, and a couple of more for Birch and Barnes to finish up these highlights here in this game against Augustana. But it definitely shows, Coach, there are plenty of examples where you're right there, and it's a difference in competing against a team like this at this level.
And a lot of times, what people don't understand is sometimes when it comes to defense, it's if you take a quick shot in a possession, and we send four to the boards. So if you take a quick shot, you send four to the boards. Sometimes in transition, it's gonna hurt you. Mm-hmm. And that was the case a little bit in this Augustana game, where at times I thought our guys were given that great effort of going to the old boards. Long rebound, all of a sudden turns into a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, and they have the advantage. And that's where I thought was a big difference in the game, is in transition, where they were able to get easy buckets in transition.
How is the transition? Is that just you kind of pick your poison? Maybe you don't bring as many guys on the offensive glass, or how do you stop a Dre Murray in that transition? Or sometimes they're just a very good player. He's a Division I transfer from Sam Houston State, and he showed why at times getting in the open court.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. That's kind of our identity, is to go for offensive boards, to try to get extra possessions, and that's something that we stress all the time. And I think more times than not, it comes out on the positive end for us. But in this case, there was just a few times where they got out in the open floor and were able to make plays.
Well, again, the Mustangs fall Friday night to Augustana, 83-66. So the Mustangs dropped to 1-3 overall and 0-1 in the conference against very good teams. Their losses so far this season. But the next night they go down to Wayne, Nebraska to take on the Wayne State College Wildcats. Again, SMSU entering the game just 3-22 all time against the Wildcats in Wayne, Nebraska. But there's a couple of, or at least one factor that knows how to win there, and that's the guy sitting right next to me. You've been a part of every victory there, and it was great to come back and get that win on Saturday against a Wayne State team that has a lot of new faces, but they've got some very good players, and a team that gave Minnesota State Mankato a very tight game on Friday. And earlier in the week, they were down in Nebraska Kearney by 30 at halftime, but got it down to 3 in the second half. So you know they're a team that has ability to score, and then they show that at times.
And all Mustangs fans know how hard it is for us to go down there and win. I think the last 2 years we lost down there in overtimes, and it's a tough place to play. And I thought our guys came out and played with a pretty good level of intensity on the defensive end, which created some easy opportunities offensively. I think it was important to get off on a high note early in the game, and I think we did that.
Yeah, the Mustangs started off very strong, and the Wildcats did come back and took a lead, about a 3-point lead early in the first half, or about 14 minutes to go in that opening half, but the Mustangs then really just shut down the Wildcats. Wayne State got a basket with about 13 and a half minutes left in the first half, and did not get a basket again until the closing seconds of the half. Now, they did get to the free throw line, coach, so they did get some points, but when you can hold a team 13 minutes without scoring a basket, you're probably going to win most games. And
it really comes back to ball pressure. Our guys were pressuring them. They were putting their heads down. They were able to make some plays on some passes, and that was where we were able to get out in transition and get some easy buckets. As
we mentioned, the Mustangs get the win 73-54. SMSU a 17-point lead at halftime, 40-23, 58% shooting for SMSU in that first 20 minutes, while Wayne State was held in check to just 25% shooting. SMSU at 4 3-pointers in the first half, Wayne State just 1. So instead of, we'll take a look at the highlights now for that ball game against the Wildcats down at Rice Auditorium. And we start off, great defense here by SMSU.
Early on, I think the biggest thing is you look at the ball pressure, you look at guys rotating aggressively off the drive, and what we always say is protect the box or protect the paint area. And great ball pressure right here by Matt Zager. Again, just getting them out of their comfort zone, and that was a big thing early on.
Yeah, they forced a turnover. Great defense there for the entire shot clock. Mustangs early on, Nick Smith in the paint with a little hook shot with the left hand. And Matt Zager, again, one of the Mustangs' top scorers in the game, or was the top scorer, along with Tramel Barnes, had 12 points. And again, just a good take to the basket, lays it in. And then very good defense here, back-to-back possessions.
Jordan Miller right there, just anticipating the play, making the play. We thought on the defensive end, Jordan was as good as he's been this year as far as back-to-back games, and we'll need to continue to see that.
In transition, Zager off an assist from Bernard Birch, and there's William Giddings with the 3 on the left wing. Tough hit.
Tough hit with a guy in his face, but that's a guy that's 5'10", trying to guard a guy who's 6'6", and he just rolls up and shot it.
Tramel Barnes opening up his game on the offensive end. Nice jumper from about 15 feet out. Bernard Birch back, gets the basket and the 1. It was a goal 10, and completes the 3-point play. And then William Giddings with a basket here as well. We're coming up here. That's actually Trent Carlson. I'm off a bit, but he hits a 3, and he was big here late in this first half with the 3-pointers.
And especially, we predicted that. We said they're going to play some zone. We're going to have to knock down some shots, and Trent Carlson did so.
Yeah, boy, just smooth in transition. The Mustangs, now this is the last 5 minutes of the first half, really with the momentum and a great feed. Jordan Miller, great find, hits Trent Carlson on the right wing for a 3-pointer in transition. Now a couple of more offensive plays, Michael Apple, and then Lavion West with a big dunk.
And with this lineup out there with Michael Apple, it really spreads the floor, allows guys to drive hard, and guys like Trent Carlson benefit from that when his man has to help out.
There's a dunk for Lavion West. Then Jordan Miller, Trent Carlson, back-to-back trays. And some deep hits here for SMSU. And again, off the miss, clean the rebound, and quickly in transition the other way. And Mustangs find Trent here in the bottom of the screen.
And this is something that we talked about early on in the year, what Colorado State did to us. When their forwards or big guys were able to get rebounds, they were pushing and going and getting easy opportunities. And that's something that we need to see both Will and Lavion continue to do.
There's a big hit here in the second half by Nick Smith. Again, the Wildcats made a couple of baskets early on and got it down to about 13 points. And the Mustangs, though, had an answer to every time the Cats made a run. And you see Tramel Barnes get the big offensive rebound. And here's a steal and a great team effort. Zager to Barnes to Nick Smith for the layup. And then Apple again with the jumper here from just inside in the arc. He steps inside, and that's what Michael can shoot from inside the 3-point line. They gave him an opportunity. Here's a big dunk for Giddings, easy with the one hand. And again, you've got some very good looks here all night.
And when you get a dunk like that, whether it's right or wrong, it really gets the guys going, and the energy level got picked up again, and that's one thing that Will and both Lavian can do.
Here's an and one for Matt Zager. Jamel Barnes here, you'll see him at the top of the key, passing the ball around, and he'll get the ball back. He's open and drills the top of the key three-pointer. Again, Tramel off the bench, 13 points, 4 of 6 from the field.
Another example of Will being able to get a defensive rebound, push it in transition, get that ball to Vennard for the foul.
And we continue on. Offensive plays, Vennard Birch going to the rim, gets a basket, and here's another dunk by William Giddings. Just like keeping that ball alive to the Mustangs, and he'll slam it down. Some of the easiest points he'll get. And again, continuing more highlights. And at this time, Coach, you're opening this up, to a 20-point game and a chance to let a lot of different players, some new guys get in as well. And we'll see Ben Engelstead here playing a couple of shots here, get his first basket as a collegiate. And
we went to more of a ball control lineup here. Most of this part of this time of the game, we had 2 point guards in the game, spreading the floor and getting action to the rim like Tramel did right there.
And Mustangs will come back here, and Matt Zager with the basket. And then, as you mentioned, Ben, who joined the team right when the season started this year, gets a chance to score here off a nice pass from Dalston Jones.
It's now always nice to see guys like this who come in and they work on the daily basis to get rewarded at the end of a game when you can.
And then the best play we have it in football is the kneel down, and this is the best play in college basketball. I think it's nice that you can show this. This is the dribble out when the clock's winding down. That's good. So that's how the Mustangs win the ball game this past Saturday over Wayne State, 73-54. And if you want to put that highlight in every time, that's always great to see.
It was actually an accident that it's on there, but yeah, maybe that's something. Maybe it starts a new tradition.
The dribble out play, one of the best plays you can call. But Mustangs win 73-54 against Wayne State. So SMSU 2-3 overall and 1-1 in the NSIC. And as you mentioned, on Tuesday night, December 6th, the Mustangs playing at South Dakota State against a very good Jackrabbit team that is 2-0 in their conference. They're 6-3 overall. Their losses this year have been to Minnesota, Georgia, some very good, and Nebraska. So that's their 3 losses, the 2 BCS conference schools. And we won't really talk about the game so much, Coach, because by the time the game it'll be over by the time this airs. But talk about getting this game on the schedule. It's a tradition kind of you played the last few years, either an exhibition or regular season. Now this is a second year in a row we have played South Dakota State, but it's a great challenge, and it gets you guys ready for conference.
And we're very thankful that they do it. They're an hour away. For us, it's a no-brainer to go over there, play a Division I school like South Dakota State, and not only do they prepare us, but it's just a great environment to play in, and it's a great experience for our guys. So yeah, we're very thankful that they play us, and if they're willing, we'll probably play them every year.
Yeah, you look at your non-conference opponents, Coach. Milwaukee, a Division I school right now, is 7-1. It might be even 8-1 now, but they beat DePaul last night out of the Big East. We always joke Mustangs lost, I think, by 6. They beat DePaul by 11. DePaul lost to the Gophers by 1. So you put that numbers together, Coach. We were clearly beating the Minnesota Gophers in regular season games.
I mean, yeah, I got some texts that we should be in the Big Ten Challenge.
No kidding. But again, it shows you the schedule you're playing. You could, instead of playing in Milwaukee and South Dakota State, could be some other schools that aren't as strong, and you might get a couple of wins out of that, but is it going to make your team better? And I think you felt the Milwaukee game makes your team better, and obviously it's tough. You're playing in the conference season now, and you have to play South Dakota State. That's when it worked out, but that's going to help you in the long run, and hopefully you get a victory tonight. But if you don't, you'll be a better team coming ready for St. Cloud on Friday. And
the important thing to note is it doesn't help nor does it hurt us to play this game. For Division II and how they make the regional rankings, all that matters is Division II basketball games. So having those extra 3 wins on the schedule versus maybe less qualified opponents, or maybe 3 losses versus qualified opponents, or however you want to look at it, does not play a factor. And that's where my mindset came in making this schedule. I really wanted to make this group of guys, or challenge this group of guys. I think this group of guys has a bright future over this year and next year in the development of this group. And it's a matter of kind of challenge them and let's see how much they can grow.
Yeah, very interesting starting lineup for the Mustangs. 4 sophomores and a junior starting up here in this last 3 games, and should be fun to see this team continue to grow. And again, it's going to be exciting this weekend when the Mustangs come home, and we'll play at the RA facility again Friday night. St. Cloud State undefeated coming into the RA facility on Friday. They'll be their first road game of the season for the Huskies. And then on Saturday, the Mustangs will take on a Concordia St. Paul team who's going to be right there at the top of the standings come later on in the season. They're dealing with some injuries right now, but that's going to be a great couple of games coming up at the RA facility, and love to see all the fans out there. And it should be an exciting weekend of basketball at the RA facility. Again, the Mustangs at 2-3 overall, 1-1 in the conference. We'll play South Dakota State on Tuesday, December 6th, and then come home against St. Cloud and Concordia this weekend. Again, 8 o'clock tip-off both nights. For the head coach, Brad Bigler, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler here at Studio One and at smsumustangs.com. Until next time, go Mustangs!